1 year. On this exact date, 1 year ago, the Ninjago movie released in theaters all across the world. So much has changed in this 1 year. So much has evolved. In this video, I'm not going to be talking about the movie necessarily, but what impact it made for Ninjago as a whole. I think it's safe to say that the Ninjago movie impacted the theme much more than we thought it would, from the fundamental ninja design changes to weapon changes and even physical appearance changes. Ninjago was seemingly redefined when the film released. In a sense, the series experienced a true reboot without actually having to reboot itself, which I think is an impressive achievement. With an imposing lineup of sets to release along with the film, the Ninjago movie was shaping up to be something truly spectacular. At least, that's what we all thought. But then it released. Now, I'm not going to sit here and bash the film as I actually haven't seen it yet, but I think it truly emphasizes how the film is so significant, yet insignificant at the same time, that it hasn't warranted a watch from myself. But judging from reviews of the film, I think it's safe to say that it wasn't the best movie out there. Receiving a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes and a measly 46% user score is pretty pathetic, but since I haven't seen the film, I'll just avoid this topic completely. The main reason why I wanted to make this video was not because of the film necessarily, but the changes that it brought with it. Because sure, judging from people who've actually seen the movie, it was an abomination. I've played the video game for the Ninjago movie, and from what I've been told, the stories are identical, and trust me when I say this, it's probably one of the worst video games I've ever played. With that being said, let's talk about the long-lasting impacts of the film. To start us off, I think it's important to mention how after the film's release, we've entered a new era of Ninjago. This era, in my personal opinion, takes a much more serious tone and is a clear upgrade to the seasons that came before it. I think the writers took advantage of the film's release and the changes it brought so they could make substantial changes of their own to the series. It's mostly enhanced the series, and I feel that the movie helped bridge this gap between seasons 7 and 8. Let me explain. Seasons 7 and 8 are drastically different, and some will say 7 is definitely inferior to 8. But all opinions aside, both seasons have a very different tone, and Sons of Garmadon is much darker than Hands of Time. This more serious approach was then followed through with Hunted, and I think having the movie usher in a ton of changes in between seasons gave the writers that reason they were looking for to rework the series. It would have felt very awkward if the series had just a random shift to more darker storylines after season 7, but since the movie brought in a ton of changes, it makes more sense that the show should be changed as well. I think we can all agree that in a video like this, the topic of the substantial changes to each and every ninja is unavoidable. However, after a year in reflection, I personally believe that the new ninja design changes were for the better. Sure, it takes a lot of getting used to, but some character changes were really needed, and I'm not against that. I still can't get over how Zane looks to this day, but the changes to each ninja were in a sense that extra spice the show needed to keep things interesting, to keep things fresh in a sense. Because after years of the same old ninja, it gets boring, and I think sooner or later we all would have realized this had the old ninja designs been kept the same. All in all, although the movie wasn't the best, it sure did make some positive, long-lasting impacts when it comes to Ninjago, and I think that's what matters the most. Because let's face it, what would you rather prefer? An almost 2-hour-long film that's amazing? Or multiple Ninjago seasons that span over years to come that are truly amazing? I'd side with that second option. I still think it's a shame that we couldn't get both, but in the long run, as long as the show is in a healthy state and is run by good storytellers like the Hagman brothers, and LEGO keeps pushing out awesome Ninjago sets, Ninjago won't be going anywhere anytime soon.